How to lose body fat and keep all of the muscle on your bones. So you've hopefully just finished a long gaining phase and you fucking worked heaven and earth to make sure you built some muscle and you want to make sure that you can keep it. Well, you have come to the right place to do so because I fucking live and breathe this shit. And I'm going to promise that to you, but by the end of this video, I think you'll know how to also build some during this process as well. Why do I say that with such confidence? Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tom Sergi. I run the Gorilla Platoon. This is an online physique transformation program where we get results like this. So consistently, I have seen where we've managed to pull off body fat, build some muscle, pull off body fat, build some muscle. So not only retain the muscle, I can definitely assure you we'll be able to do that, but we can also build some as well. That is the art of body recomposition. Now, in this video, my promise to you is that you will know how to lose fat whilst retaining and even building muscle. And we're going to do this by attacking three main pillars. These are three pillars which I prioritize for my clients, and we're going to do them in order of priority. I'm not going to make you wait till the end of the video for the last and the most important point. I'm going to give it to you first because the other ones will supplement and support the main pillar. So let's dance. Number one. The main and the most important factor for you building and retaining tissue is your training stimulus. That is probably not news to you that you need to train to build muscle, but let's go a little bit deeper than that for goodness sake. You didn't come in just to get told training stimulus. Now, when you are piecing together your program, bearing in mind, you are going to be in a calorie deficit, okay? You're going to be in a calorie deficit in order to pull off the body fat. So now your energy is lower. We need to use that energy in a smart, sacred way. So the way we set your volume, the way we look at your frequency and your intensity needs to be slightly manipulated than when you were full with food and training like a fucking dog. Now, the method that I use for a lot of the exercises is a top set into a back off set. The top set would be around 6 to 10 reps. The back off set would be around 12 to 15 reps, and you would drop the load by 20%. Why do I do this? Why don't I just do 3 sets of 8 to 10, hypertrophy, and roll like that? Why do I change it? Well, you are going into the gym with a certain amount of energy. Now, you can burn through all that energy by doing like 12 to 15, by doing 3 sets of 8 to 10. The problem is we need to make sure that you are training hard enough to retain and also build tissue. There is a threshold where you need to train to get past. You know the term progressive overload, I'm sure you do. Well, you need to progressively overload each session. The problem is when you're in a deficit, to continue progressively overloading is quite hard when you're trying to do it across 3 sets of 8 to 10. So now what I'm doing is I'm concentrating the sets. I'm reducing some of the volume because just doing a lot of sets and burning doing a lot of volume will burn a lot of muscle glycogen. You only have a limited amount because you're in a deficit. So if we're still burning the glycogen, we're still raising cortisol, but we don't get to the promised land where you needed to train that little bit harder to retain and build the tissue, but you've still spanned your wheels. The analogy I'm going to use is imagine you go in and train and I tell you to do 70% of what you can normally do, but for 5 sets, you'd still get just as tired, just as hungry by the end of the session, but you wouldn't have been anywhere near your capacity and your threshold, but you've still burned and used your fuel. We need to be smart with your fuel when you're training. So what we want to do is concentrate into that first set, 6 to 10, fucking send it on that set. Make sure you beat that number that you did last time. It's one effort, don't fucking miss. Make sure you beat that set. Either you got an extra rep, or you couldn't quite get the extra rep, you added a little bit more load and you got the same reps, so your overall volume was more. Or you hit the top tier of the reps and then it was time to go up and load anyway. Now, frequency is still important. You still want to hit that muscle twice per week. So what would a suitable program look like for you? It depends on how many days you can train. If you can train 5 days, I recommend a push-pull legs, and then we want to build an aesthetic body, so save your other 2 days to chest and back or arms and delts or push and pull again. If you can only train 4 days, you want to do a full body push, a full body pull, and you're going to have a rest day and then repeat those times 2. Frequency is important, intensity is important, volume, as long as it's captured across enough days, will be achieved anyway. But what we've not done is just done loads and loads of sets and burn through our glycogen without hitting the ceiling and the threshold to make those gains and to make the change. I hope the penny has dropped and I've explained it in a clear enough way. If I haven't, just mention it in the comments below. But I think you get the point with this now. Train fucking hard, do something you've not done before to give the muscle a reason to stay on your bones and to also, well, grow ideally as well, which you should do if you're applying progressive overload. And we're using we're conserving our fuel and using it smart. We're not just burning a shit ton of fuel by doing like junk volume, basically. Junk volume for the sake of it will kill your gains over the long term. Training stimulus is the most important factor when it comes to holding onto and building muscle, because the fact you have that stimulus means your body needs to be a certain way to deal with the stimulus, because your body doesn't want to be in pain. Your body wants to always be in homeostasis where it's fucking chilling. So the goal of training really is to you're in homeostasis, you alarm the muscle, it goes through a resistance phase, supercompensates, and then grows and repairs. And you want to lift up the line of homeostasis. So what we want to do is make sure we're training hard enough to keep that line up there, because that line will come down. Our body wants to be fucking lazy and chill, it will come down really, really fast. So that is the most important point. We're going to give 2 more points, which also are very important and you can use as tools, and they will always in mind to supplement and support this first principle. The next one is to increase cardio before you decrease from food. Now we know, and you 100% know this already, you need to be in a negative energy balance to burn off body fat, because you need to give your body a reason to eat the fat. That's not news to you, I'm sure. And there's 2 ways to do this. You either do more or you eat less. Your input gets reduced or your output increases. Why do I say increase output before decrease food? If you've got more food or less food, we've got 2 people, one guy is eating more food, the other guy is eating less, which one will perform better on the gym floor? The guy that has more fuel. He's eating more food, so he has more fuel, so he will perform better. And training stimulus was the most important factor for obtaining and retaining tissue. Now you could say, but this guy's doing a shit ton of cardio, this guy's eating less, they should feel the same. And maybe they do, but if you can train really fucking hard in the morning or on lunchtime, and then you do a cardio session later at night, and then you go to bed after, your session is going to be a lot more efficient, a lot more effective than the guy that's just on lower food. You're going to have more food to train with, you're going to have more food to repair and recover with, so you're going to have a nicer time for it. And let's be honest, like that aside, just general adherence for people getting to the goal, who's going to perform better? The guy that is on significantly lower food for a longer period of time. We know what it's like when we're on lower food. You get grouchy, you get hungry, you get snappy, you fucking think the world's ending, versus the guy that's on a bit more, but he's got to do a bit more output. This doesn't work for everyone. If you're a very, very busy guy, then unfortunately you will tell me I just don't have enough time for more cardio. When I say cardio, you're going to start anywhere from 20 minutes and then you're going to increase it by 10 until like you're deep in the diet, you're doing like 60 a day. Some of you will be like, I just can't do that much. Then obviously, of course, we still need to create that negative energy balance, so then food is going to have to come down. Of course, I'm not saying you never have to bring your food down. In some results I've got, we didn't need to, but in others, we still had to create that negative energy balance. So it's not one or the other, but it's cardio first and keep food as high as you can for as long as humanly possible. And I think that makes sense to you, doesn't it, when I say it? Because like food is higher, adherence is going to be easier, obviously, because you've got more, so it's easier. Food is higher, gym floor performance is better, so you're going to enjoy the process more anyway. Now, when we are saying increase through cardio, there are 2 types this is what I would say when it comes to cardio. Don't do this, obviously. This is me in the military. Obviously, we would run with a pack on our bag. And the reason I say don't do running outside really is because it just accumulates a shit ton of fatigue. Your joints get fucking achy and sore, it increases your appetite significantly higher. So I wouldn't really do this. Now, don't get me wrong. Can you do this once a week on your rest day? Yeah. And this is another side point, I've got clients where they just prefer to just have those runs in twice a week, and that helps with adherence over the long term. You have my blessing. Keep that in. It's going to keep you adherent over the long term. You can do it. But like for like, cardio for cardio, non-impact will serve you better than impact because it doesn't accumulate fatigue. Now, obviously, you're not going to go around the Swiss Alps and fucking bike down a mountain, but I don't have any images of me on a treadmill, on a bike, or a cross trainer to actually put on this slide. So that's why I went with that. But the point is, you're going to do non-impact cardio. Those 3 that I've just mentioned. because you could do them daily. You can do them every day. They don't accumulate fatigue, and you just can go and spin your wheels and create that negative energy balance. So we want something that you can do daily, that you can sustain, and it doesn't accumulate fatigue. And also, it doesn't really send your appetite through the roof either. Prescription for heart rates, stay around 120 to 130. Again, that also won't accumulate fatigue, and you can do it daily. And start those minutes, count those minutes when the heart rate is actually at that amount, and just increase by 10 as you need to go through the deficit. So increase cardio before decreasing from food. Try stay to non-impact, but I do appreciate some of you just like to run, the endorphins that come with that. Try just limit that to your rest days. You got 7 days, at least 2 of them are going to be rest, maybe 3. Run on those days. And then the last point I will mention, bearing in mind we're always looking to support the training stimulus. What is the most important macro when it comes to fat loss? And I've got like the functions of each macro on here, so we'll just read through them now. This was off the Institution of Health on Google. I literally took it from there rather than make up my own words, because that's bullshit and you deserve better than that. So we've got protein, structural support, biomechanical catalyst, hormones, enzymes, building blocks, and the initiators of cellular death. So that's protein. The function of carbs is to act as energy, to help control blood glucose, insulin metabolism, participate in cholesterol and triglyceride metabolism, and help with fermentation. Fats help give your body energy, protects your organs and supports growth, keeps cholesterol and blood pressure under control, and helps you absorb vital nutrients. Now, they're all fucking important, of course they are, and I'm not saying you can just cut one out. Of course you can't, but what is the most important one when it comes to fat loss? Now, initially, I think the answer of what you were thinking is protein, and I would honestly back you up for the longest period of time with that. Protein is going to keep you satiated for the longest. It's the most filling macronutrient. You actually have to burn calories to eat it, so that's a side little benefit. It will repair and keep the tissue that you've worked so hard to build, so that's really fucking important. However, remember when we said the goal was training stimulus, and training stimulus is the most important factor for retaining and building tissue? Let's now go through the next 2 macronutrients. Let's look at fats. Fats are important. Hormones are important. You should never be on 0 fat. But the beautiful thing is you never can be on 0 fat. It is very, very hard for you to be on a diet that has 0 fat, because there's trace fats in everything. So for you to be on absolutely 0, you would have to be on the most meticulously well-prescripted diet to just be on 0 fat. And even then you could run that for 2 weeks before you start to see problems. So the beautiful thing is you can take your fats quite a bit lower. What's the benefit of doing that in a diet? Well, there's 9 calories in 1 gram of fats. You get more volume of food back if you manipulate the fats. Fats are a lot more tasty and palatable, so by reducing those, it will make adherence to the diet that you've still got a lot easier. So, and also you can never be on 0 fat. Let's remember that. And I would never prescribe anyone to be on 0 fat. So you can stay at trace fats for at least a couple of weeks, and that will be healthy. That's a tool that you can use right in the depths of the diet. And where I'm going in analogy with this is, I want you to imagine we're in the last 2 to 3 weeks of the diet, and we're trying to get that last little bit of body fat off. We want to support that the most efficiently. So we've got fats. We know we can bring fats down. Now the last thing we've got is carbs. Obviously they act as your energy source. That's important, because if we need you to train hard in the gym, you need energy to do so. So weirdly enough, we would think that protein is the most important macronutrient, and it is for the longest of time. However, if it gets to the point where you're on low enough food, you're on high enough output, and your training performance starts to dip, you will lose muscle when your training performance starts to dip. So actually, you could say, oh, but I'm eating the protein, but if you're not matching the stimulus, you don't need the protein, because you're not... What you're putting in, it doesn't need it. It would actually serve you, weirdly enough, to take from some of that protein, and conveniently they're like for like in terms of grams for calories, both at 4 calories a gram. You would then increase a little bit in carbs, and that might be just enough to keep your performance higher in the gym, which is going to retain tissue. Training stimulus, the most important factor for retaining tissue. Protein supplements that. Protein repairs and grows that. Of course it does. Is it important? Fuck yes, it's important. Are you going to be on 0 protein? No. Are you going to be on half protein? No. You might just be at 75% capacity to what you would need. But then your training stimulus is still up there as high as possible, because you just had a little bit more carbs. Now so am I saying carbs are the most important factor for fat loss? You could say so. You could say it's hard for me to say one is better than the other because they're all important, and I'm not trying to be like, this is important, fuck the rest. No. I'm saying they're all important. You want to prioritize them all. That's why we went cardio high first before we had to get to this. But we may have to get to this point to get the last little bit of body fat off. And right at the end, right in the last 2 weeks, it may serve you to keep your carbs higher, to allow training stimulus to stay higher, and you will still have enough protein to support what you are doing. That is the point I'm making, and hopefully that's like an insight for you and a gem dropped. It seems to work quite well with the clients that I have, so I wanted to share that with you guys today. So we can understand then from this video, training stimulus is the most important factor for being able to obtain and hold tissue while you go for the dieting phase. You want that to be sacred, and you want to do everything you can to keep those numbers climbing and to hold them at that highest point that you have. You can do this by increasing output first, and then you're going to have to decrease from food at some point, probably. It depends on your starting point. And you also want to keep carbs as high as possible, then protein, and you can go down to trace fats, but ideally for no more than 2 weeks. If you got value from this video, then subscribe to the channel. If you want to join the Gorilla Platoon, then there'll be a link in the description, and you can do that, and we'll get you in the best shape of your life. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.